Welcome to How to Craft the Perfect Move In with Christina Greiner. So, Christina is the client success manager at Moved. She manages all aspects of onboarding, account management, and client support at Moved. She's had a wealth of experience in the multifamily and prop tech world, and she's also passionate about building strong relationships and efficient processes, which is what we are definitely about here at ManageGo. So super excited to talk with you today, Christina. Summer is in full swing. Moving is happening. August is like peak season for leasing. So I think this could not be more well timed. So let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about some stats. We're going to talk about some first impressions, how to automate your onboarding process, how to create some digital checklists, hiring movers, which could be really it could become a struggle if you don't know where to start. Personalization, and then we'll just wrap it up and leave you with a few takeaways. So let's get started. So, a few stats about residents. About 64% of renters say that moving is the number one stressful event. I completely agree with this. I try to avoid moving at all costs because of this. It actually stresses me out to think about packing up my home and then moving it to another place. About 84% of renters say experience is just as important as your apartment product. And then about getting their move in, about 79% remain satisfied at lease renewal. So you want to keep that satisfaction level high post renewal. So on the property management side, about 75% of property managers say that residents' expectations have increased in the past year. Something I'm not entirely shocked about. What about you, Christina?
I am not shocked at all. I think,
Yeah.
especially getting into the post-COVID era that we're in, having technology at the forefront, I think is very important for residents, and they're seeking that out more than they ever have.
Yeah. And then what is your take on this like stat about 156 hours a month are spent on manual tasks that can be automated? That is an enormous amount of hours wasted on, and especially in such a digital world. I feel like this is time that could be saved.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's also where prop tech has really sort of come onto the scene, because you realize that we're not just automating processes, but we're giving them time back to be able to accomplish other things that they could be doing. They are pulled in so many different directions. And, just to still manually upload leases into the property management system is time consuming. And so really focusing on how we can give them time back, but not just take
Mhm.
away certain jobs they're used to doing, but really focusing on streamlining processes.
Yeah, I love that. And then let's dive into that first impression because I feel like automation really ties into that first impression of what a resident's move-in experience is going to be like. Because if you're just handing me all these papers, you're mailing me papers in the mail, you're making me send checks like via, I don't even know if you can send a check via mail, but I hear that some property managers still actually ask you to do that. So talk about how that first impression and really automating and building out a more smoother move-in process could really kind of set the stage.
Yes. So as you see here, I mean, the first 90 days of a resident stay is really critical for establishing that positive experience, because
Mhm.
when you're setting the stage and you're creating that, effective communication and that upfront good impression, it not only leads to increased engagement, but it really does set the stage for a resident to follow through on their commitments as well. So, less tenant issues, rent is paid on time. And there's a couple different ways I think that on-site teams can prepare for that initial first impression. So those are things like effective communication. So just making sure that you're clear and timely with the communication that you have with your resident about the move-in,
Mhm.
dates, times, required documentation that they're going to need to present can really help reduce tenant anxiety when they're moving in. You
Mhm.
know, I'll say this so many times over, but moving is chaotic and it's stressful, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so what we really encourage on-site teams to focus on is communication, but also having some sort of comprehensive, clear welcome packet that really outlines essential information, lease terms, community guidelines, contact details, local resources, something that's centralized for residents to constantly refer back to so they feel confident when something arises that they have resources to go to.
Awesome. And when you say that welcome packet and building in all of those contact informations, the pieces of things that they would need to know, how could a property manager accept basically bundle that together in a way it's just easy to deliver to the resident, it's not overwhelming, and it's like given in a timely fashion?
Yeah, it could be as simple as just presenting it in some sort of welcome email or just putting it into a Word document. Think about the residents that are moving in and some of those frequently asked questions like, who do I go to when I have a maintenance request? Or where do I go to take out some of my bulky items from moving that are disposed in trash? Who do I contact after hours if I have something come up? Start thinking about the most commonly asked questions and just start putting them in a Word document. You can always transcribe and kind of work on those things as you go along, but just having
Mhm.
it at a glance for residents to be able to download, keep on their
Mhm.
desktop, keep on their phone, just really having it in some sort of um, digital location really helps.
Awesome. So let's go to, I feel like that's a good segue into automating the onboarding process. So, what are some tips that you would give to a maybe even an established or a new property manager on how to automate that onboarding process? So you've given us a few notes, so putting it into a Word document, streamlining it, giving it out into an email, but from start to finish, because there's so much that goes into onboarding a new tenant, from rental applications to credit scores to guarantors to and then the move in, the security deposit, the moving your license, your all of that stuff. So, what does that look like? How can a property manager essentially automate that experience?
Yeah, when we think about automating an experience, we think about technology. We think
Mhm.
about having a centralized location that residents can go to as sort of their source of truth, whether that is
Mhm.
automating a checklist for them. Um,
Mhm.
Not only does this help the residents have a place to go to and realize
Mhm.
what task they left off on, but it also helps property managers understand and on-site teams where a resident may have left off, and seeing all of that in one location versus emailing back and forth. Things get lost in the inbox. They can't remember where a resident had submitted their COIs. Really
Mhm.
focusing on what can we implement that's going to automate this process. So technology first and foremost, think of things like visual dashboards, all the tasks that need to be completed, automated reminders from that. And then
Mhm.
when you start to build out that checklist, this is really where you can start thinking about taking that move-in experience to the next level. So when you're increasing resident visibility, you can start introducing residents to services and marketplace items like movers or insurance providers or internet services, and really
Mhm.
keeping it kind of at that visual forefront for um, residents to sort of reference on their own as a little bit more self-service.
And as much as you can share, is there a client that Moved has worked with that really exemplifies this real automating of the onboarding process? And you've seen time and time again do a really good job at this.
Yes, I would say some of my best clients are the ones that advocate for the product. I love when I get on a call and they're excited to implement this technology because that excitement translates to the resident engagement. I
Mhm.
think this could go across a bunch of different clients, but when you have a client that is excited for this process, they're not only using the technology to the best of their ability, but they're pushing us to then try to create more um, features and advancements that then can help the rest of our clients as well that may not have spoken up about, hey, this is an issue that we would like to solve that we're experiencing. I'm sure other people are experiencing as well. And you sort of work together on that. So I would say that's a model client. I do have some like that, and they're really great to work with because they advocate for their teams and their residents.
Awesome. And then going into features that people want or things people need, let's talk digital checklists. So, how would you advise a property manager to either build out their digital checklist, or what would you put on your digital checklist if you were a property manager?
Yes. So, as you can see on the screen here, we've sort of brainstormed with some of the most popular items. And I was going to say what I would put on there is definitely things that would be easy to miss or that would cause a lot of questions for residents. So things like, how do I secure renter's insurance? Where do I go? Where can I get the best cost?
Mhm.
Who do I go to set up my utilities? Who's the most common provider in the area? Um, how can I hire movers? Where can I go? Who has the best rates? And when I would say an on-site team or a property management can vouch for these tasks and recommendations that they're providing, it instills confidence in the resident that they can really handle their move. And they have,
Yeah.
a lot of research that they may not have to do on their own, but the company is saying, hey, we got you. Um,
Mhm.
Here's what we recommend. And that really is probably one of the best things that you can feature, alongside of course, community orientation, onboarding, little tidbits, finalizing move-in days, key pickup, all of that.
Yeah. And I mean, if I had this before moving in, I think I would feel a lot less anxious about moving
Yes.
anywhere. So
Yes.
I want to know, what is some feedback you've maybe gotten from residents that have used moved and were like, this really quelled my anxiety. I still don't love moving, but you have made it bearable.
Yes, I think when there's so many moving parts, the best thing is just keeping them on track. We send them automated reminders, so they don't even have to think about what step they left off on. It is just like, oh, I need to do this. Let me go in and complete it. And then once it's done, we all love ticking that box on our checklist. That's like, we
Yeah.
did this, it's done, don't have to think about it anymore. And it's that constant visual reminder that everything is in one place and I am like
Mhm.
interacting and really checking things off the list.
Yeah, and I think even having the property managers vouch for companies such as utilities or movers or where to just get your renter's insurance, I think that like really it calms you because now you're not Google, like you're not doing massive Google searches, you're not trying to find renter's insurance, you're not trying to just take all these quotes and you have a whole bunch of people, you hire some movers and now half of your boxes are broken. So I think that really implementing moves and these digital checklists into your moving process could really help the resident long term because now I from what I'm seeing it's kind of like my property manager has my back and I no longer just feel like a resident, I feel like I'm a part of a community, you know. And do you ever get that sense when people are doing going through this checklist, they don't feel like I'm just a resident. They just want my like rent money. They don't really care about they actually care about me. Like with move, you move into that process of my property manager cares.
Yes, absolutely. We, you know, as you said, the property management cares. And that's the
Mhm.
biggest thing. I think when they are trying to assist residents in solving an issue or solving a stressful situation, it helps tremendously from making that first impression and understanding that they're going to be taken care of within their community.
I love that. So let's move on to hiring movers because I feel like out of all of the things on that checklist, I feel like hiring movers is probably the most detrimental. So, because if you make a mistake, half of your belongings might not make it to your new
Yeah.
place. So, talk a little bit about how Move kind of helps with either hiring movers or bringing movers into this onboarding experience.
Yes. So the way that we like to think about this is, you know, choosing your preferred partners. All you have to do is book your move and we will handle the rest of it. That's, where Moved got its start essentially. So hiring the movers is one of the best things that you can do to assist a resident, because also that helps with COI, and it helps with making
Mhm.
sure that you're getting a vetted and insured and reliable mover, because as you mentioned, things could go awry very, very quickly. I have heard some horror stories from movers that people think that they're getting a good deal and their stuff ends up somewhere in a truck in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So hiring movers and really letting the resident know, like, here's where we find the most popular, the best rated, the best deal in your area. These are, who we think are going to fit you the best. And that just takes a huge weight off of the resident as well. But also knowing that the on-site teams are going to get the required COIs. They're not going to have to deal with a ton of the back and forth questions on who do I use as a mover? Are they reputable? We're already working with on-site teams to make sure they know that these are hired, vetted, insured movers.
Love, 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 love. And then I want to move on to something that's really become a really big thing. I feel like personalization is everywhere, especially with the growth of AI. I feel like everyone wants that personalized touch on everything that they do. So, what are some personalization tactics or tools that Moved really provides or suggests to property managers that they embed to really just make that move in process a little bit more personal, not so robotic?
Of course. So we recommend things like, I mentioned a packet, but really sending out a welcome letter and an email that is personalized, that's a little bit of a note saying we are so excited to have you in our community, really makes the resident not only feel welcome but valued and excited to live in their new home and know that, they're not just seen as another rent paying tenant, but they're someone that
Mhm.
is a part of a larger community.
Yeah.
And again, small gestures. So whether that's a welcome gift or essentials packet that you can leave, whether in the unit, it can go such a long way. And it doesn't have to be big or expensive. It can even just be some coupons to local restaurants that you're giving back to the community and giving them more resources. Or it can just be
Mhm.
like a reusable shopping bag or cleaning supplies or something with a little
Mhm.
note. So those little things go a very long way.
Awesome. And then what are some things that you've seen clients do in the past using that sort of personalization tactic?
The personalization, I would see a lot of welcome letters. So a lot of, Moved is going to obviously send out some sort of welcome email to the residents, but having
Mhm.
an introduction from the on-site teams as well is
Mhm.
huge. Making sure that they're aware of, hey, you're also going to get a notification from, this company to complete your move, or
Mhm.
just making sure that there's some sort of touch point. It all leads back to making sure it's effective communication and that you're really setting the tone for that first experience. But I think the welcome gifts, again, having local suggestions for new residents, especially if they're coming from out of state or they might be new to the area, they are, you know, definitely just a small gesture. Doesn't really cost much for the on-site teams, but makes a big impact.
Awesome. I love that. And then some just do this and get this. So we created some do's and gets, I guess you can say, because we don't do do's and don'ts. So Christina, I just want to know your thought processes on some of these do this. So deliver an automated onboarding process. What do you think a property manager gets out of doing that?
Delivering an automated process is going to build that long-term satisfaction with the resident. Making sure that they have all of their steps in one place is going to cause, as you see, that ripple effect. So starting off
Mhm.
strong and making sure that you're creating those touch points, very easy communicated to the resident, that is, you're going to get twofold those small gestures up front.
Love that. And then also, what about providing a digital move-in checklist and prioritizing a personalized experience?
Yeah, I think more than anything, you're going to get time back in your day to do other things around the community. We're not taking away jobs. We're not taking away specific tasks for your on-site teams. We are
Mhm.
simply providing an ease and time savings to then, understand the cost benefit in other areas. So there's certain things that take a lot of time that are a manual lift that, shouldn't be in this day and age. So
Mhm.
what we're really trying to do is give you guys time back in your day.
Awesome. And then before we wrap, is there any questions? Does anyone have any Q&A? Anything you'd like to ask Christina? The floor is open before we wrap. If there's anything that stuck out, anything she said that you want to know more about, here's your chance. I'll give you 30 seconds. Okay, I think we do have a go Christina, so go Christina.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to say thank you everyone for joining us and talking about how to create the perfect move in. It was so amazing speaking with you, Christina, and learning about how Moved is really helping move the process, helping move the move in process further into our current digital world. It was really exciting learning about it and seeing how you guys are helping property managers save time and money and also build that connection between resident and property managers. So if you guys are looking to connect with Christina, you can at move.com or you can send her a note at Christina@move.com. Once again, thank you so much, Christina, for joining us. Your expertise was amazing, and we are so happy that you joined us today.
Oh, thank you, Erica. That was so sweet. No, I'm very excited to have been a part of this. And again, if you guys have any questions, I could talk about it all day. So
Yeah.
more than happy to chat with anyone that is interested in any of the things that we chatted about today.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining. Today was so good. If you want to share this, we will be posting it on our YouTube so you can recap it and take notes of anything that you might have missed or wanted to recap. Thank you again, Christina. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.